afraid, like nervous, you know. He's a great personality. So Prabhupada came into the temple room in Los Angeles, and the deities were open. He came back from a program, Rukmini Dwarkadish, most beautiful. Prabhupada said they're setting the standard for deity worship at that time. They still have very high standards, so much opulence for those deities. Everything opulent. So Prabhupada came in, he looked at the deities. He said, "Who has dressed these deities?" And the devotee said, "Oh, two Matajis. Her name was Srimati, and another Mataji." He said, "They are going back to Godhead."
You weren't allowed to go to Vrindavan, so you weren't allowed to go to India.
Oh yeah, I was a book distributor, big, Lakshmi guy, doing books, so all the money from book distribution, giving Lakshmi. So in those days, the whole temple, everything depended on book distribution.
Only depend book distribution only?
Yeah, for Lakshmi. There was no, very little, no life membership, nothing like this.
It was difficult then, Roji, so only depend on book distribution.
Yeah, but we were distributing. Our temple was collecting. Every month we were collecting in the street about $80,000, which is $1 million a year, and we didn't get paid. We just like brahmachari. You don't get paid. Just like dal rice chapati, and if you had a vehicle. So actually, it was so much Lakshmi was coming. So much Lakshmi. The devotees were so fired up. Prabhupada was there. So many people joining, like millions of dollars coming in from America. But they wouldn't let me come to India for Gaur Punim, because someone has to keep supplying the Lakshmi. So like that. So finally in 1977, the temple president, he was a very successful temple president. He even had an airplane from our collection. He was buying a small airplane, to go around to all the temples, because we had quite a few temples in his zone. So anyway, he said, okay, Prabhupada is very ill. So beginning of November, he said, okay, you go and chant for Prabhupada. So I went to chant for Prabhupada his last week on the planet. So every day chanting for Prabhupada, and Prabhupada's translating into a microphone. Very, very no, just skin and bone, Very, very thin. Anyway, the day he left, I woke up early, and I went down at around 3:30 a.m. and I was chanting for Prabhupada in his room, and there was only Bhakti True Maharaj and myself and Jai Dwaita Maharaj and a devotee named Bhardraj, who was a well-known artist. He was a wonderful artist. And Bhardraj said, yeah, you should just massage Prabhupada's feet. Prabhupada's feet were very swollen. I said, no, I'm too fallen. Every time, they offered me, come with Prabhupada, come. Oh, I'm too fallen. But that day, we were told Prabhupada was going to leave his body at just after 7 o'clock. So we went over chanting for Śrīla Prabhupada in his room, all from 1 o'clock, just chanting, and Prabhupada was lying on his bed. And then at just past 7 o'clock, 10 past 7, the Kaviraj had predicted when he's going to leave. Very accurate, very accurate. Then they took us outside his room. They said, okay, we have to dig Prabhupada's Samadhi. There was no machinery in those days, just a village, small village. And no one, like all these sannyasis, big shots, no one's like saying, okay, yeah. So I put my hand up and said, I will dig Prabhupada's Samadhi. So from about, I guess 7:30, 8 o'clock, until 6 o'clock in the morning, myself and one other brahmachari, who was my friend, Abhinanda, we dug Prabhupada's Samadhi. And it was, I don't know, just Krishna must have just empowered us, because we didn't, just like 11 hours later, it was all finished and ready for Prabhupada to enter Samadhi. So I got some mercy there. Prabhupada was very pleased, very happy. Every time Prabhupada would come to America, we would attend his classes, every day, Bhagavatam class. And so in 1976, Prabhupada was actually sitting on a Vyasasana, and he was saying, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that the real power is not physical, it's intelligence. He says the real power is your intelligence. And then he made a joke, he told a joke that Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave this joke. One time the animals, they were being eaten by the lion. So then they made a deal with the lion. Okay, every once a week, one of the animals will sacrifice. We'll just come, and you just take one of us. We'll volunteer. That way you're not, harassing the whole forest. So the rabbit's turn came, one rabbit. And so the rabbit, he stood next to an empty well, a deep well, but it was empty. So the lion came. The Prabhupada's telling the story from the Vyasasana, and he's kind of laughing, It's just like a joke, and he's kind of very happy. So he said, the lion came and said, okay, come with me, it's time to eat. So the rabbit said, oh, no. I'm not belonging to you. I belong to the other lion from the other forest. So, what lion? What lion? So the rabbit said, oh, he's down in the well here. So the lion, he looked in the well and he roared. And then the roar echoed back at him. And he said, wow, rascal lion. And he jumped into the well. Prabhupada's got a huge grin on his face. And he said, it's all finished. And this is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's story about intelligence is the real power. Who are these people? Oh, TCM?
This is called
Mama? Manaji.
Yes, ma'am.
Politics.
My votes are coming, election. West Bengal election.
She's gonna win.
Yes, definitely.
No question.
No.
No one. There's no competition. Yeah, I mean, most of the time when Prabhupada came, he's surrounded by sannyasis, so very difficult to talk to him. All the big shots, So we were little brahmacharis. Go for a morning walk with Prabhupada. Prabhupada always spoke about scientists. What are the scientists saying? Swarup Damodar, what are scientists saying? Prabhupada, they say that life comes from chemicals. You're a rascal. Show me. You do it. Says the Prabhupada, they say within a few years, 2 more years. I said, we don't take post-dated checks. You do it now. He said, rascal, you'll never do it. He said, they come up with so many atheistic arguments. No problem. They say like when the genes mutate, you know, they make a more advanced anatomy by mutation of genes. So what you do it in the laboratory. You have all the ingredients. I give you a body. You bring the body back to life. I would say like that. I give you a dead body. 1 second it died. You put it back to life. Rascal. every morning walk on Venice Beach in Los Angeles, Prabhupada was scientists, because the scientists are the Kali Yuga Brahmins. They're actually highly intelligent, but they're submerged. They're drowning in atheism, and they're just against God. It's just like you know, Sukracharya. Don't surrender. He's Vishnu. Don't surrender. Like this, they're just complete materialists. Big materialists, you know, and rascals. So they control the education of people, of the generations. They control their education. So they indoctrinate with atheism. It's very, very sad. And they say secular. But secular means equal opportunity. You can present creationism or theism, or you can present what they call naturalism. You know, nature is the origin of life. Matter is the absolute. It's old wine in new bottles, that's all, because Jaimini and Karma Mimamsa, all these atheistic philosophies been around for thousands of years.